Hi, everybody. This platform is kind of new for me. So I believe that all is working now. So everybody is welcomed to the HyperC stream. That is first AMA stream together with Parsik. So can I ask to show something that everybody is here? Hi, everybody. So at least I see some comments, so I can react to them. And just apologies for being late here. So yeah. Okay, so I see that we're here. Lots of watching on Discord as well. So let's speak about HyperC, because this will be kind of a lecture where I will try to make clear what is the difference of the approach of HyperC to other dexes, why it is so special, how we are using Parsik technologies to calibrate our models, and even to create a better model, how to provide liquidity and understand the market. Then I will try to answer your questions, or maybe, as I understand, as I see, there are way how to display your questions on the screen. So the selected questions will be displayed, and I will try to answer to them. And as well, let's try to check that everything is working. So I have a lot of screens here. So let me organize on them somehow. So I could show them. File open. And illustrations, where are illustrations? Let me check, sorry. Just opened a lot of windows here now. Now need to organize them. And so this one. Okay. So let's check. Let's check that all systems are working. So I will try to show my iPad. So let's check whether do you see what I'm writing here. Probably it is being translated. And as well, so you can see my screen. Okay. So let's begin. And firstly, I want to say that I want to organize this lecture in the following sections. So firstly, we will speak about DEXs, and we will try to spotlight differences between models, how AMM is working and how traditional DEXs are working. It will be small. It will be small moment, but I believe that it is important enough to understand whether the HyperC model is applicable, because we had a very interesting comments from the traditional finance guys that immediately immediately spotted that this model as well can be used in traditional finance, but the blockchain is the most correct place where such technology can live. Then I will describe you our inventions. Because we created very interesting tools for analyzing concentrated liquidity. I will cover such thing as omega transformation. We called it omega transformation. There will be some formulas, but I will try to explain it in visual way. What does it mean? And how it allows to measure, to control concentration of the liquidity. As well, we will speak about how to depict concentrated liquidity, how to analyze it visually, because a lot of intuition comes from the geometry, and even we are planning to organize our papers as two different papers. One is geometry of the concentrated liquidity, where we will cover all the things that are related to the geometrical representations and intuition behind this. And other will be already covering such things as the DEX itself, its tokenomics, its model, how it will work. And both of these things I'll try to cover today. So we will speak not only about the model of the HyperC, but as well some ways how we see how tokenomics of the HyperC can be implemented. And I believe that many of you are waiting for the tokenomics. And as well, there will be answers about the airdrops, what you are waiting for a long time, even before we visited Solana breakpoint. We promised that there will be airdrop. It still will be there, but as you know, we postponed our Solana launch and decided to go first with Arbitrum, but we are not burning the bridges to Solana as well. At least I will explain how HyperC even can be created as multi-chain and multi-chain liquidity protocol. At least we have such a vision, how it can be evolved, how it can be expanded. and so on. Okay, okay. So let's talk. Let's talk about DEXs. Let's talk about the DEXs and its differences between. I would say not only DEXs. I mean AMMs, automatic market makers, and how they are different from the central limit order book exchanges. And here I will turn on my iPad. So probably everybody here has an account in some standard centralized exchange, and I would say that it is interesting that the question between so how to choose the sex or the DEX. The sex or the DEX. Now it's kind of hot, especially if we will remember what is happening eventually. It can eventually happen with centralized exchange. But I believe that centralized exchanges, they have a potential, but unfortunately, you see what can be with sexes. But here I will cover these two types as the battle between two different models. That one model is mostly implemented in centralized exchanges. It's called central limit order books. I would say that it is not only only for centralized exchanges. For example, first trials how to build a decentralized exchange was just to replicate central limit order book. For example, the famous Ether Delta that is known to all these of the blockchain. Really, it's kind of still functioning, but already everybody understands that in the blockchain to implement central limit order book, it's kind of complex, and the transaction fees are very big in this case. And here I would speak about the AMMs, automatic market makers. But firstly, we will talk exactly about this thing. So in central limit order book, so when you are opening the exchange, you are always seeing something like that. So you see a standard component that shows how what is the price of the current trading pair. For example, let it be Ethereum versus USDC, for example. And here you see something like the order book with orders. And when we are speaking about the order book, we need to cover very important thing, that in central limit order book there is a game between two type of users. Actually, there are more types of users, but we need to spot two of them. The first one are people who are able to wait. So, for example, if you want to change Ethereum to USDC, whether you want to make it instantly, so to make so-called a market order, just to match the supply or the demand, and I would say that here we will talk about two types of people. One type of people can wait, and others can't. So, and those who can wait, they are placing so-called limit orders. This is just when you know on which price you want to on which price you want to sell, or on which price you want to buy, and which amount, you just create the so-called limit order, where you place all the conditions that you want to met, and the simplest, most simple condition is on which price, which amount of currency you want to sell or you want to buy. This is the most simple type of the order, and we call this limit order. And all these orders are aggregated into order book and creates a liquidity. That can be used by those who cannot wait. Users who cannot wait, they are producing so-called market orders. And I would say that about the limit orders, we need to say that what we are actually doing when we, as an exchange, so if we are creating an exchange, we are actually creating two different queues. One is so-called buy queue, and other is sell queue. And all your limit orders are just aggregated according to their price. So if you want to buy, and here, let's see, this is the price. This is the price range. And you have two queues that are looking at each other, and we have two things. So here are orders, and here are sell orders. But so when we are talking about these orders, actually orders themselves, they have a particular price, They have a particular price, and they have a particular amount that you want to buy or that you want to sell. But often this thing is depicted in so-called integrated form that is more familiar to you. So if I just show this thing, we just take all the orders, and move them one by one at their prices to form such a stairs. Actually orders, let's put it here. And let me draw. This is already in the picture that is more familiar to you, because this is the depth of the market. But actually, if we will speak about the orders themselves, they are just these parts. So these are buy orders, and these are sell orders. And this is often depicted as such two swings. One is here, and other is here. But if we will talk about the original representation, then actually we can talk about distribution of the orders on the price, distribution of the orders on the price scale. And always we can we can talk about these two queues, because when somebody says that I want to buy Ethereum at this given price, then exchange just calculates the place. For example, if a trader says that I want to buy at this price, it means that his order just inserted in this position. Or no, the same is here. So for example, if somebody wants to sell at this position, then Dex just find the place in the queue where user will be placed, and his order just sits there. And always there are two different two positions, so-called best buyer, it is here, and the best seller, that is here. And they always are in they always disagree. So the best seller it sells with higher price than the best buyer wants to buy, because if they would be agree, then they will be immediately cleared. And limit orders are for those who disagree with current price. So it means that the best buyer wants to buy at the cheaper price than the best seller wants to sell. And now we can talk about these guys. Guys who cannot wait. They want to immediately change their currency to opposite currency that is being traded. And it means that both these parts are in terms of the market, they are providing liquidity for second type of users who cannot wait and they want to liquidate or purchase or to sell something. So only existence of first types of guys creates ability for second types of traders to realize their rights. So I have a crypto and I want to sell it, or for example, I have money and I want to buy it. So this ability to buy when you want and to sell when you want is called the liquidity. But it is just interesting moment then that the word liquidity now often is used as the synonym for funds. Just provide the liquidity. It means provide funds to something. But actually, to provide a liquidity means provide your funds to make currency liquid. So actually, but now the word liquidity is used as a synonym for funds. No, at least I feel that most of users use it. I will provide my liquidity. So no, you're providing not your liquidity. So yes, you provided your funds, but your funds provided liquidity. Okay. And both of these things. So let me use for example this color. Both these things are from first things, and when second type of users are trying to trade, they actually those who want to trade and they are agree with price, they are matched with this part, and those who want to buy and agree with price, they are matched with this price. But actually we can say that these are kind of two parts of users, two parts of users that are providing limit orders, that are trading against limit orders with market orders. But now let's say that the first type of guys are kind of as well can be divided by two categories. One category of first users are users that don't that actually want to change their currency, but they can wait. So they are just traders. They just traders. Uh, Hi, I'm still I'm still here. Just StreamYard said that something went wrong, and asked to try once more again. So, and the question, the question I've stopped. No, okay. Let's say that recall that actually, technically, from the perspective of exchange, there are just two types of users: users who can wait and they put their their orders in the queue according to the price that they want to sell or buy on, and other traders who just agree with the price, with current price, and they even agree that the price can move while their market order is being fulfilled. So this is just a thing from the perspective of the exchange itself. But if we will look closer at first type of users, we will see that there are two types of users. So one type of users is really are really traders, traders who just can wait, and other are not traders at all. They are market makers. They are market makers, or just MM, market makers. If we will look at their, if we will try to separate their orders, if we will try to separate their orders, we see some orders, and I will draw these orders in non-aggregated way, for example, something like this. Sorry, the wrong color. Here, red. We will see something like that. We will. So if we just trying to see what is happening in our order book, how these two queues are looking. I see the interesting question. I will try to remember and answer to it. But just I want to say that we can separate. So it is absolutely impossible to separate them for the external observer. But if you would know who from users are market makers and who are just limit order traders, and you will just separate them, then you will see these two types of graphs. So first type of graph will look like this. And let me just so these are two things. So sorry, I wanted to show something other. I wanted to show that it looks, so one of them looks like this. Just let me show. And the other looks like this. So actually, so if you add them together, then so let me depict it in this way. So if you just added them together, then you will see your order book like you see. But you need to remember that the order book itself is often displayed in aggregated thing, and I just shown in non-aggregated way, just sizes of the orders on the price, sizes of the orders on the price scale, on the price range. So this is price, and this is just a size. But these are orders from market makers, and these are orders from ordinary traders that just can wait. And you see that market makers are those who are not interested in purchasing or in buying or selling cryptocurrencies. They are interested in their strategies, how to sell and how to how to sell and how to buy. If you provide both sides of the order book, you're providing some liquidity for buying, you provide some liquidity for you're providing some liquidity for selling, and you just what you earned or what you some money that you got from selling cryptocurrency immediately are distributed on the other side to buy it on the lower side. And when the price is just fluctuating, it means that the fluctuations of the price allow market makers just to rebalance. So, for example, if some orders were fulfilled on the higher price and the price then moving backwards, then it means that the money that was got when selling cryptocurrency can be used to buy it with a smaller price. But unlike traders, ordinary traders, market makers are locking their liquidity, so they are always in the order book. And you can see that there is a question how correctly distribute your liquidity to earn the maximum possible amount from the price fluctuations, from the trading, from the users, that want to just to trade. And traders, they are out of scope. So for us, it will be very interesting. It will be very interesting how to implement market making strategies, but on other type of exchanges. Here I just explained what is happening in central limit order books, and in automatic market makers like Uniswap, we have absolutely another picture that is kind of excludes one type of users. It allows to implement all the needed actions for users that are market makers and users who cannot wait. So market orders. The difference between a limit order book and automatic market makers is that automatic market makers are mostly based on the special curve that just allows to understand how system should react. How system should react if somebody tries to sell or buy something that belongs to liquidity providers. In systems like Uniswap, especially version 2 Uniswap. Then we will talk about the version 3. The Uniswap version 2 provided very simple, that means very cheap on the blockchain way, how to manage a liquidity. It just said that we will have a curve, that we will have a curve, and we will have a reserves. So for example, if you have amount A of one cryptocurrency and amount B of another cryptocurrency, so then you can say that the system, that the exchange has this amount of liquidity, this amount of liquidity. And the main question for the exchange is just the question what I will obtain if I will, for example, sell this amount of cryptocurrency. And if you have a curve in your hands, if you have a curve in your hands, then to answer it is very very easy to answer to this question just in this way. So let's say that this one is Bitcoin or Ethereum. Let's say that Ethereum, and this one is just dollar. Just want to note that in all our diagrams, we will try organize this information in this way. So the volatile cryptocurrency we will put on the horizontal axis, and the stable will be for the y-axis, for the vertical axis. Looks like that it is strange because okay, let's dollars be on the horizontal, but you will see that this type of axis alignment is beneficial for the interpretation of all the geometry. So we already found that this is the most optimal thing. So if you want to sell some Ethereums, to exchange, I would say that it means that now we don't say that somebody buys your Ethereum when you sell. Then the exchange just buys. It means that you in automatic market makers you are selling to the exchange. The exchange buys, and it means that if you are providing more Ethereum. If you are providing more Ethereum to the exchange, then you just increase the amount of the Ethereum here, and the answer how many dollars will be paid for you is just answered by this simple diagram. So this will be your payout. And you can see that if you will gradually sell the same amounts of the Ethereum to the exchange, what will happen with the amounts of what you being paid for it? So if our curve is really a curve, if it is not a straight line, if it is not a straight line, then it means that if you gradually sell the same amount of cryptocurrency, then with each tranche you obtain less and less money. So it means that the more you are selling, the more you are affecting the price on which you sell. And the same will be in opposite. The same will be in opposite. In opposite direction. So the more you are trying to buy, the higher will be the price. So you just can reverse these arrows. So if you will try to buy the same amount of Ethereum, then it means that you need to pay increasing amounts of things. And here is a question. What this curve should look like. And the Uniswap version 2, just said, let it be hyperbola. This is probably its scary word. A scary word from the school. But I would say that the hyperbola, everybody should know at least from the school that the hyperbola is something that is being described by the formula like y is equal to here I will write c divided by x, where c is constant. And for example, let's consider one particular case where c is equal to 1, that it is y is equal to 1 divided by x, and it just means that it looks like this. Actually, it has a second part. But we will not describe it. And the question whether this curve is optimal. And I would say that there are a lot of research. One very important article that I would recommend. I will write all the things in the chat about the literature. That the curve itself for the exchange in Uniswap version 2 was to curve, I would say. Was to curve, but it was a very interesting article by Tarun Chitra, the founder of Gauntlet Network, that called curvature and markets when the tail wags the dog, because dogs should wag the tail, not the tail should wag the dog. And it means that the Uniswap version 2 introduced a curve, and this curve was so easy to implement. So many solutions appeared just replicating Uniswap version 2, and just taking this formula like it is a source of truth. And actually markets started to accommodate to this curve, but this curve is not optimal. So the curve itself should adapt to market, not the market should adapt to the curve. And this is very important. This is a very important thing. And here I would say that I will show you the source the source where from those curves are coming, because a lot of protocols, especially need to talk about the curve finance. I would say that curve.phi. So the Michael Yegorov, he spotted that this curve is not good for stable coins if you want to exchange one stable coin into another stable coin, because it produces too big slippage. It produces too big slippage. And he provided a formula. He provided a formula that changed this curve from hyperbola to a thing that looks like this one. It is called stable swap. And we will show that we can implement things that is even better than the stable swap for stable coins. But the question why we even should find the better curves for representing market maker strategy, and how should we find it? How should we change it? And here the question. It is interesting that the question itself was already solved even before the blockchain appeared. Even before a blockchain appeared, there was a theory, economical theory, that even was described by many economists and persons who are traditionally not who traditionally are not recognized as economists, but they worked in economics as well. For example, von Neumann. And he has a very interesting theory that allows to explain why and how curves could be constructed. And this is very, very important notion. Where from curves are appearing. Why we should say that one curve is more effective or is more relevant to market or market conditions than the other. Here, and I don't know. I've not seen this explanation about the trading curves anywhere, but I believe that in economical papers this should be presented. We can think about such thing as a utility function. This is a very important concept that allows to explain why we will use one curve or another curve. Let's say that we have a very simple requirement, or not the requirement. Let's say that we can measure. Let make such a hypothesis that every person can measure his happiness of having some amount of the product. To measure the utility, the more product he has, or the more money, or the more crypto he has, he's happier. And let's try to measure it. We don't say that we can measure it, so it's really subjective thing. But let's say that every user has such function. It means that it is his own function that represents. So let's say that U of amount is utility. And if I will put these two x's, and I would say, I would say that this is amount, and this is utility. Sorry. Then in case of single asset, if we're just measuring the single asset, then utility of single asset is just described by simple straight line. This is just a hypothesis, because when we are talking about money, let's, of course, for example, if you have too much money, maybe the utility of having all the money of the world is not, no, it can be increased. So probably it could be this one, but we're not even close to having all the money of the world. And let's say that the more money or more asset we have, if we are talking about the purchasing power of this asset, then just let's say that the more money we have, the more people we can feed, the more. So it is not only money for you. So the more money you have, the more utility you can find for it. And this is a very simple. This is a very simple thing when you have just one asset. If we would have just one asset, then the utility could be described by the simple line. But if you have two assets, let's say that this is amount of asset A and this is amount of asset B. Then it means that you can have different proportions of A and B. And let's say that you have this amount of A and this amount of B. Now it means that the utility function of having this amount of A and this amount of B is now the function of two function of two variables. It means that there will be utility. So let's say that, and the utility will be here. Utility. And now utility is utility of A and B. Probably somebody can say that, okay, if A has a utility and B has a utility, then let's just add them together and say that U of A of B, let's say that it should be this one. But actually it is not true. It is not true because two different assets can have a synergy. Can they, by using them together, you can have absolutely another effects than if you are trying to measure them separately. And this utility, it means that u of A and B, it is just some function that can have such a I mean that this is the entire surface where you have a point that corresponds. So if you have a given amount of A and B, and there are different types of products that interplay with each other in different ways. I immediately will spot two. So I will draw three things, but I will talk about two of them, and only then we'll talk about what is in intermediate. Let's say that if we have two products, for example, let's say that you have not money, for example, but you have a let's measure something in apples, and you have apples from one garden and apples from another garden that is very similar to first garden. And if you try to distinguish them, so you will not find any differences between, but just one have stickers that they are produced by garden A and other was produced by garden B, but they have a same taste, they have a same size, same sugar, and so on, and you cannot find the difference between them, but they formally are different products because they are labeled with two different labels. And in this case, we are talking that those products are perfect substitutes. So one product can absolutely substitute another product, and you will not feel the difference if you will just exchange one to another. And we will talk about substitutes. And if we will talk about substitutes, then the corresponding curve should look like this. It means that If we are here, for example, let's say that we have a this amount of A and this amount of B, and they are absolutely substitutable. So it means that if you are trying to exchange it with this amount of A, then you absolutely agree to receive. So this is delta A and delta B, and you can see that these two deltas are equal. And in fact, deltas should not be equal. They can have a constant factor. For example, if somebody sells only boxes with, for example, 8 apples together, and other garden is selling individual apples, it means that these two things they have a constant factor of 8, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So like this, for example. So if I just versus 1, but otherwise apples are the same. So it means that 8 apples perfectly substitute the box of apple from another garden. And it means that this line just will have another slope. This is for substitutes. And another thing is interesting. Let's say that we have this amount of A and this amount of B. We can have this one. We can have this graph, very strange curve that corresponds to the situation when your products are absolute complements. They're complementary to each other. So it means that one has zero utility without other. And it means that the example, for example, can you imagine something that can be divided into parts, and one part is not functional without another part? In this case, like, for example, printer and cartridge. If we are talking that one printer needs one cartridge, then if you have a one printer and 10 cartridges, then the utility of this thing, no immediate utility. Of course, 10 cartridges can be used within the time, but if we are talking about the immediate utility, then having just one printer and just one cartridge is the same as, for example, one printer and 10 cartridges, or 10 printers and one cartridge and one printing cartridge. Because all printers except one will not work, because every printer needs a cartridge. So something like that. So, and it means that the utility of these functions can be described by these things. So here, utility of A and B can be described by A plus B, probably with some factors. And in this case, U of A and B will be equal to be minimum from A and B. And actually, in between these two things, substitution. So these are two poles. These are two poles between assets that could be. So whether assets are complementary. So one is absolutely not needed if you don't have another, and they can be substitutes. So if you have one, you don't need another. These are two poles, but in between of them, there could be some positions. There could be such situations when objects are kind of semi-substitutes. So they have a so-called elasticity of the substitution. So when you are substitute one with another, and then you can change one to another, and it is very well. It could be very well explained by showing you a form. Of the graph, and here let me let me show another picture that is interactive. And I just will say that, for example, what proposed Uniswap proposed the utility function or the value function of A and B as square root of A times B. It corresponds to the hyperbola, and it is interesting to see how it looks like. So if we just depict the surface, and the surface is looking like this. Just let me show. So this is the surface. This is the exactly surface that corresponds what Uniswap is proposing. It's just square root of x times y. But no, in more mathematical form, it could be explained as x in this. X in the power of 1/2 times y divided by 1/2. But there is a very important thing that I've displayed as well. I've selected some level on which I will just intersect. This is a plane that is parallel to the plane AB. So we have a axis A, we have axis B, we have a utility that is explained. And when we are just selecting the level, I can change this. You can think that if you will take a katana and just slice horizontally the surface, it means that this surface, so all points on this line that is formed by the intersection of these two things, they have the same utility. And this is why this thing is called the no regret curve. Because every point on this curve has the same utility. It means that if you want to exchange some A for some B, you need to follow this line to have the same utility. It's by geometrical construction. So this is just the same level of the utility. And exactly here, we can change the weight, and we can change the degree of the substitution. So how products can be substituted. And it is interesting that when we are changing and say that our objects are more substitutable by each other, then our curve is just transformed into straight line. If we are changing the substitution parameter, so how it can be substituted? So when I'm changing this parameter, then it means that when this parameter is equal to 1, it means that currencies or objects are absolutely substitutable. And if I change it to -1, it means that they are complementary. And actually, these two functions and the function in between, are already 100 years studied by economists. And here is a question. What types of currencies are substitutable? These are questions for those who are listening and following. So, what types are what types of cryptocurrencies can be easily substituted by one by another? Yeah, exactly. They are stables. They are stable. So one, thank you, Hyoka. So the more stable currencies you have, then you can change. You can easily swap between them and think that you are not losing anything. But not only stables. Can you imagine? For example, when you are staking Ethereum, or for example, let's just say that you are putting some currency into some protocol, and you receiving another currency or some another token that represents your right to withdraw Like for example, when you put into compound, then you are receiving C. For example, you're putting Ethereum and you are receiving C Ethereum. You putting some another coin and you receive another coin. Yes, wrapped tokens. Wrapped tokens, and even they can slightly diverge in the price. But if their speed of their price divergence is little or is very predictable and little, then we can say that they can be more easily substituted by one by another. One by another, and then so they should not be stables. They should be highly correlated in price. So they should have a big correlation in price, or we will show that there is more efficient metric that allow you very easy to measure how substitutable coins are, and we are using this measure in HyperC. Okay. Actually, this curve is already known in economics. So let me show. So if you have two products, for example, one product is X and other is Y, then there is a special function that is called CES, Constant Elasticity Substitution Utility Function. It is defined on X and Y, and it is equal to let's see. Let I use X and Y, big X and Y, like reserves, plus 1 minus omega of X, and here P and P, where P is elasticity. And it is interesting. Or just I can use here. I can use here letters A and B and just say that the weights of the currencies A plus B should be equal to 1. A plus B is equal to 1, and here it's just the very simple formula that allows you to have every possible thing between complete substitution and complete complements. But I would say that the P in this case can change from minus infinity. In this case, this is absolute substitutes, absolute complements. and P is equal to 1. They are absolute substitutes. And if P is equal to 0, it is very important case. Directly, you cannot use P equal to 0 in this formula, because in this case you will not you cannot take a root of because to take a root actually it is equal to a y in P plus bx in P in power 1 divided by P. In power 1 divided by P is just a root of degree P. And if P is equal to 0, you cannot use this formula. But we can show that in case when P is converging to 0, then this formula looks like y in power a times x in power b, where still a plus b is equal to 1. And this is very familiar formula for those who are working in DeFi, in DeFi segment. Actually, it is interesting whether somebody can identify what the popular decentralized finance protocol is using exactly this formula. Probably I can change the form of this formula. So to this one, it's a product of xy in wy, where is equal to 1. It's just a case when we have two assets, and this is multi-asset case. That is kind of hint. Any suggestions? I know that almost everybody are using. So I don't think that many users are using, but many users heard about this decentralized finance protocol that is using this particular formula. That is just one particular case of the CES formula. This is the balancer. This is the balancer that allows you to work with different weights of the cryptocurrencies. So let me check whether I can show. Transform. So I believe I can show you this. In this way. So this is the formula. This is the formula that allows us to represent. I will cover this graph separately, but just let's think about this blue curve. And this blue curve can be easily changed by modifying just two parameters. One parameter allows us to change weights or weights of the currencies, and other allows us to change from the parabolic form up to complete substitution between curves. And this is the curve that is pretty known, easily calculatable, and has multidimensional variant for different. So if we want to implement multi-currency pools, then we can easily use this formula for the multidimensional things. But now let's connect these things together. What we talked about, we said that let's change back to iPad. We said that this curve that was introduced by Uniswap. It was too curvy, I would say. So it has a too big curvature, and too big curvature means a big slippage. Because if you have a for example, if you have this curve and this curve, then if we just measure the curvature, if we'll just measure the curvature between these things. So here curvature is less, and here curvature is bigger. So it's more curve, less similar to the straight line. And if a thing is less similar to a straight line, it means that when you will move, then you will experience a big slippage in the price, rather than in this case. And here is as well one important note, that the price itself. Many of you who already know how Uniswap version 2 is working, you are you know that, for example, in Uniswap version 2, it is very easy to calculate the current price. So if you have a X amount of one reserve, if you have a Y of another reserve, then the price itself is equal to Y just divided by X. But it is not actually true for every curve. It's not true for actually for every curve, because the price itself is not the is not a ratio between two assets. Actually, the price itself is the limit. Is the limit. So, for example, if you are purchasing this amount, this is dx, and you are paying this amount of dy, then actually dy divided by dx is equal to r. But actually you need as well to put a minus sign, because dy is dy is negative, because it's going lower in this case. But actually, when we are talking dy divided by dx, it means that we are talking about the slope, about the slope. It's a derivative. And I know that everybody are scared about integrals and derivatives, but actually this is the place where they are actually used. And it is very interesting that in Uniswap, you have a magical property. So if you will select any point on the hyperbola, then the derivative at this point will be exactly equal to the ratio between x and y, and it can be very easily shown in this thing. So if we have a p equal to 0, let me show it's here, and omega is equal to 0.5, it will create an absolute hyperbola. Let me show. It was from another. Think. No, I would say that lost an interactive example that I've prepared, and I cannot find it immediately, but I can show it in this way. So if you have a hyperbola, real hyperbola, not squeezed, not thing, then if you will take any point on this, then this line will be absolutely symmetrical to the tangent line on this thing. So if you will take these lines, so these so it means so if you see that I didn't mesh it here, and it means that it is not a hyperbola. On the hyperbola, if you take a point, then every time on every point you can estimate the slope and actual price. Actual price is here, so this is the price. So let me show that this is the price. So this is the price, and this is the price, and this is the price. But it is interesting that this price can be easily calculated by just knowing your current reserves. So if you have a information about how many reserves are in the pool, then you just can divide one by another, and you will understand this the slope, and exactly the slope. So we can think that actual price is this angle, not the angle itself, but something that is very very similar to this angle. And it means the less is the lower is angle, the less is price. It means that if we were here and we are moving, for example, to here, and you see what happened. You see what happened with slope. It's changed. It means that when we are moving on more curve things, then the price is being changed more sharply. Then when, for example, for example, we are on more straight curve, if we can say in this way, then it means that we are that the slope is changing slowly, not as sharply as on this thing. And here was one of the solutions for the problem of the curve being non-adequate to the market, that was solved by Uniswap by introducing concentrated liquidity. By using concentrated liquidity, actually they changed the trading curve, but they made it in a very interesting way. They made it in a very interesting way. And here I can show you my initial drawing. So this thing is what we talked about. So in Uniswap version 2, we have a curve that is hyperbolic, and when you are providing liquidity, you are just changing the curve to the curve that is more that looks like more straight line, and when traders are trading, they're just moving along this line. So liquidity providers are going through this line, and traders are changing the system state in this way. But the problem how it was presented by Uniswap version 3, they didn't say that their curve is inadequate. They said that it is inefficient to provide such a big amount of liquidity for the state that is changing in only very small diapason, very small range. So if, for example, you have actual price range that is fluctuating somewhere here, because it means that it is it means that if you provide a liquidity for supporting, if you are providing liquidity for supporting such level of slippage, you are using your capital inefficiently, because actually what you can provide is just a part of it. You can provide this amount of liquidity on the axis A, and this amount of liquidity of axis B. This amount of liquidity in axis B, and you will support by this fractional this fractional reserve, you just will support the part of the curve that is here. And if we know that if the price will fluctuate somewhere here, then there is no reason to provide liquidity outside of this range. However, you cannot be sure that price will be really there. It means that you can dissect your price ranges. In this way. So these prices, and so on. At least if we are talking about hyperbolas. And then you can say that you in each diapason or provide your own amount of the liquidity. It means that you can, for example, in this range, you can provide this amount of liquidity. In this range, you can provide this amount of liquidity, and so on. So here, if you are almost sure that the price will fluctuate in this diapason, then as market maker, you can provide the more liquidity in most probable range. But if you are not, if you allow to exit from this range, then you need to provide more liquidity in the sibling ranges. But if you are thinking that there is less probability, that it means that you can provide there less. You can provide less less liquidity here. And Uniswap version 3 it created such a way how to represent the liquidity. They used a special special way how to represent their price in form of ticks. I would say that the thing about Uniswap ticks and how they can be improved to be more understandable, it's material for another lecture or for the blog post, because we have a very interesting modification for the Uniswap version 3 ticks that can be easily interpreted by by humans, because now Uniswap version 3 ticks, to convert them into price, yes, you can calculate using special formula, and this formula is very simple, but it is not doable in just in your head. But we have a improvement that allows to, so our ticks are easily convertible by head, but they are as well have a logarithmical nature like Uniswap version 3. But this is another theme. Okay, users just asking when Dex diagram NFTs. Probably I should make some NFTs, just rare NFTs from these exchanges, and define the goals for users to obtain them as a prize. Yes, it looks like a Christmas tree. It looks like a Christmas tree, but actually, this is the way how liquidity is distributed in Uniswap version 3. And do you see that these two graphs that are the same? So this is just a linear representation, of the Uniswap version 3 liquidity. And this is the representation as pieces of hyperbolas. And in HyperC, what we actually done, and this is one of our inventions, and very important invention. So firstly, we generalized Uniswap version 3 liquidity to smooth liquidity, and it can be shown. It can be shown here. So let's say that in Uniswap version 3, liquidity always looks like such a step. Mathematically, it is called piecewise constant function. So it is formed from pieces, and each piece is constant. But we generalized this liquidity distribution to arbitrary functions. So you can really draw any function how you want to distribute your liquidity. And instead of Christmas tree, you receive such a petal with some sharp parts. But if you just starting to make these steps smaller and smaller, and make so-called infinitely small steps, then you obtain absolutely then you obtain absolutely smooth curve that can be transformed into trading curve. And actually, what is happening with Uniswap version 3, the actual curve that is used for trading, it can be visually represented like if you slice this Christmas tree into parts, and then just put all these parts together, then you will obtain the actual trading curve that is being used by the Uniswap. Probably I can show some part. Some part of real trading curves that are used by Uniswap version 3. Let me check. No, I don't see. No, unfortunately, I will show this on the next time, because we are working on the as well demonstration of the trading curves that are used by our competitors, because what we are doing, we are finding curves that are better distribution of the liquidity than our competitors. But what we really doing, we can take any curve, any distribution curve, like in Uniswap version 3, but smooth, and then just make the bonding curve or trading curve or no regret curve, like I've already explained, from that curve. And it is very interesting that we found a direct formula. That allows us to take any distribution of the liquidity. So if you have any distribution of liquidity, we obtained a formula that allow us to build a corresponding trading curve. And it is interesting that when we are using piecewise constant function, then we absolutely replicate the behavior of the Uniswap version 3. Just this was just a back testing. So if we are using the same distribution like in Uniswap version 3, then we get the same thing as Uniswap version 3. So our trading curve, like in this case, will be just glued together parts of the hyperbolas, and we can validate this thing. So it will be just parts of the hyperbolas that will be glued together that corresponds to this thing. And we called this thing as a omega transformation. It has a special meaning why it is omega transformation, and I hope that soon we will show all the parts, all the corresponding mathematics. It can be as well shown that formulas actually are not as complex as it could be. Let me show. So these are these formulas. Yes, they have an integrals, but when we are using particular functions, when we are using particular functions, that integrals can be easily analytically calculated. So this equation actually allow us to transform any curve, any distribution of the liquidity to turn into trading curve. And it is interesting that if we will talk about how should we distribute liquidity in the price range, like let's see. No, let's see that this is the price range. There is a direct answer. There is a direct and very simple answer. What is how to correctly distribute liquidity? How to correctly distribute liquidity across the price if you know current price, if you know the current price, and if you have information about the price volatility. And in statistics, both these things are already known. So if you have a estimation of the price, you always estimate, almost always estimate is as the expectation or mean price and some standard deviation. So you have two these things, and if you can calculate the current price and the standard deviation of the price. The standard deviation of the price is the natural measure of the volatility of the price. Then it is interesting that this is a very good strategy how to distribute your liquidity. And for the Uniswap, if you want to distribute this liquidity, you need to calculate these things. Then you can calculate some bars, because you cannot put smooth things on the Uniswap version 3. You just calculate. But in HyperC, we are just calculating. The most efficient curve, just by using information about volatility and current price. And here is one of the differences from the Uniswap, because we need this information. this information from the outside. So because Uniswap version 3 or every version of Uniswap, it works only because it is being arbitraged. So Uniswap is kind of blind, and it knows that the price is changing only when users are changing, only where users are trading. If users see that there is a difference between price on the Uniswap and, for example, some centralized exchange, then they start to arbitrate, and in this way, Uniswap is changing the rate. And exactly here appears one of the dangers for Uniswap, both version 2 and version 3, so-called impermanent loss. Because while the price is fluctuating in given range, then liquidity providers are getting more trading fees and not losing the value of their assets. But if, for example, if price is starting to go to somewhere, then unfortunately it means that price in Uniswap is changing only because users are finding that to buy or to sell on Uniswap is more cheap or more beneficial than on the official, or not the official, than on the, for example, some standard centralized exchange. And they are starting to move the price by their purchases. And it means that they win in this case. And when somebody wins here, it means that they win because of somebody loses. And who is losing? And losing are liquidity providers are the losing party in this case. So if price of the asset is changing, then if it will change back, then if it will change back, then liquidity providers will have the same assets value back, but it's kind of catch here, because a price can return to its it can return to its original state, for example, in a year, in 2 years, or never, for example. And it means that if price is changing, then impermanent loss will not be impermanent. So this is why now we are tending to call them not the impermanent loss, we call them divergence loss. Divergence loss captures the essence of the losses. And this happens because we are not this happens because Uniswap-like exchanges, they are not following the price except by trades. So only by trades they're changing the price. And if we can organize a channel that will from somewhere know how we are, so what is outside, then we can move this price more. Then we can move this price before arbitrageurs will do it. And this is why we are partnering with oracles, with different oracle implementations that are submitting a current price, that is weighted by the volume from the biggest exchanges, and we are consuming on every ecosystem. We're trying to consume as much Oracle feeds as possible. Of course, we are using Chainlink, but on other chains we are considering different oracles with different update policies to make a robust solution for knowing what is happening outside of the exchange. And this allows us to follow the price and always to reconcentrate liquidity at the correct place. And volatility itself, it is calculated by us. And it is interesting that both of these things can be very efficiently calculated on chain just by measuring what is happening right now while users are trading. So we have a very simple equations that allow us to update these two things. Automatically. This formula is just the same, has the same principle as in IQ protocol. In IQ protocol where we talked about the power of tokens, so power and energy, and I admit that the power notion was not very successful name for it, because actually what we should use for naming the power of power tokens was time weighted average balance of tokens. And here it's just principle how to calculate by using constant amount of the memory. And the same thing we are calculating, so-called time weighted average price that is corrected by oracles. So we're using this, and time weighted average volatility, or for the volatility we are using variance that is equal to this thing. So the formulas are very simple for calculating these things, and this means that we are able to follow prices and current volatility and just change the corresponding distribution together with the trading curve. And what I have here, let me check. Let me check. Just had so already demonstrated. I've already demonstrated. This thing, so camera plus screen. This is exactly what we are. That is exactly what we're doing. We are able to reconstruct the curve on basis of knowing the standard deviation. So if we know the standard deviation, and if we know current price that is reported by oracles, then we can build a curve that incorporates all this information, into trading experience, and it allows very important properties. It allows very important properties both for traders and liquidity providers. For example, if there is a big volatility on the market, then in traditional setting, market makers, they are just removing the liquidity, they are hiding the liquidity. But in our case, it means that in our case, it means that we just deconcentrate the liquidity. And when we are deconcentrating the liquidity, we are removing, it means that we are automatically removing the chances for the assets to be oversold or overbought by traders. And in this way, we are protecting liquidity providers from huge impermanent loss. We are not only by moving the price, because in high volatility setting, it is very hard to predict the price. But if we can measure the volatility and deconcentrate the liquidity, it means that the curve will looks like like a hyperbola, and it will allow efficiently to find a price without exposing too much liquidity providers' liquidity. And when market will calm down and the price will be found and volatility will be lower, it will mean that we again concentrate liquidity in given according to current situation on the market. And the liquidity providers don't need to do absolutely anything. So they just throw the liquidity to HyperC, and HyperC manages it in a way so it automatically moves it to the most profitable region. It automatically concentrates on or deconcentrates the liquidity on the situation on the market, because we constantly are measuring the volatility by using time-weighted standard standard deviation. That is very robust measure for the volatility, and it allows us to compete with those platforms that are not actively managing the liquidity. So, for example, on the Uniswap version 3, yes, there are solutions like Arrakis Finance that are managing liquidity, but it's managing liquidity on Uniswap version 3 by rebalancing positions, and those positions are not the only liquidity that is present on the Uniswap. There are always users. There are always positions that are not managed actively, and it means that they are sitting in Uniswap in non-efficient way. But if we are taking all this liquidity and putting all this liquidity into single curve, so we do not allow individual positions like in Uniswap version 3. So you are not creating NFTs for your positions. You just provide the liquidity to HyperC, and we will give you the HyperC will give you just liquidity provider tokens like in Uniswap version 2. So it is much easier. For the management. Than in Uniswap version 3. So you just have your shares in a Uniswap not in a HyperC liquidity pool, and this pool just is being concentrated on the most profitable region automatically according to oracles and current volatility. One important thing that we modeled and a lot of efforts was introduced So very good question, and now I'm trying exactly to explain. So what if price changes dramatically on one exchange? Surely there will be room for some level of arbitrage. Firstly, if we are talking about oracles, then oracles like Chainlink. They are collecting the price using so-called volume weighted average price, not time weighted, they volume weighted. They are asking for different exchanges with different volumes and are using their volumes as weights to calculate the final price. And it means that if on single exchange price changes, then there will be definitely there will be an arbitrage, not only between HyperC and DEC and that exchange where the price dip or price spike. Everybody will arbitrage, but in this case, arbitrage will create problems not for HyperC, but it will create problems for the liquidity providers or those who are trading on that exchange. The more problematic thing is what will be if oracles are exploited. Or, for example, what will be if oracles are defunct? So they're just not updating the price, because this is a very several thing. So if price is changing, Hypersea is asking what if the price is changing on all exchanges. If price is changing on all exchanges, then it will be updated by the oracles as well, and we will just change the price. So, and we are not changing the price. It is interesting that we are not changing the price. We are using the price that is already stored in the blockchain by oracles, because it is not efficient to ask oracles to provide the price. It works in other directions. So oracles, so price feeds are such popular, data that is being demanded from different places, that oracles are not responding to the requests, but they are just streaming price feeds into blockchains. Yes, there are different approaches how to stream price into blockchain. One is so-called heartbeat approach, when you just save for example, every second, not like it was proposed by Chainlink in Solana, so every second to stream a new price, whether it's change or not, just because it's very cheap to update and so on. It's heartbeat approach, and other is a volatility approach, when or price delta approach. So, for example, if price of the asset is being changed by, for example, 0.5%, then Oracle is updating the price. But our formulas just are using current prices that are in blockchain, that are updated. For example, for stable coins, I believe that Chainlink is updating when the price is changing by 1/10 of the percent, and for non-stable coins, they are updating when the price is changing by half of a percent. In this case, they are submitting. But if oracles are introducing such a policy, so update the price only when price is being changed, it means that if price is not changing, or changing very slightly by their opinion, then they just so if price is not being changed, then there is a question for the exchange whether it is really no change in price, or Oracle, or something happened with Oracle. And it is very hard to distinguish between these two situations. I've heard one questions from the chat So why the website still says built on Solana? Yes, we are changing the website because we were thought that the first version will be launched on Solana, and but now with all this situation, when for example the value of Sol and the USDC, the most important stable coin in Solana, they come under the question, and it creates a very big volatility for this pair, and we wanted to launch with first to attract the liquidity to this pair. It will not be a good start. I would say that we will cover other blockchains as. So I wish Solana to survive and get stronger from this event, and if all things will be okay, when all things will be okay, we will be there as well. But for now, we're launching on Arbitrum, and the website just need to update this. But on the Arbitrum, that in contrast with Solana, for example, in Solana, it was just update every second, and in Arbitrum, they update so Chainlink update the price only on when it is being changed, and it is our responsibility to build a mechanism that will try to take apart two cases. One case, if there is no price change, and if something happened with oracles. And we created and we calibrated a lot of things that are trying to protect liquidity providers from such important threat as defunctioning or compromising oracles. And this is our second part, second part of the defense mechanisms for the impermanent loss. Because if we are trying to concentrate on the wrong value, and we can concentrate on the wrong value, if oracles will say us to do that. And we introduced a new layer. I've heard that there is a project. I don't remember the name. That is trying to use this protection measure as well, but we inferred by ourselves this thing. Here it will be easier to show this on iPad. Most of the DEXs with AMM, they are based just on the curve. So they have a curve, they have some reserves, so X and Y, and they just assign a price on the basis of the current reserves. So if we have current reserves, and if we know the curve, it means that we can show the price, and the price is calculated. There is a spot price that is equal to the slope of the tangent line at current point. Or for example, if somebody wants to evaluate a future trade, he can model the trade. So for example, he can say, what will be if I will sell this amount? Then it means that by using the curve, we can answer it. But this is a traditional approach. And this is the first layer that we are using as well. but we are using price corrections. Price corrections that is based on the pool draining speed. And this is a very important, because current reserves. So in traditional pools, in traditional pools, price is changing only when your reserves are already drained. So if they are moving, if they are moving, if they are already moved, then price is changing. But in the situation when there is no price move, the speed of inflow and outflow from the pool, it is almost equal. And if we are trying to calculate not only the volatility, but as well, we calculate the speed of how our reserves are inflowing or outflowing from the pool, we can identify situations when, for example, oracles are still reporting something, they are still reporting something, for example, irrelevant, but users, all the entire market, they already know that, for example, this asset is precious and we need to buy it from all the sources, or for example, on just on this on this particular exchange, they're trying to do something. We can calculate the speed, and we can adjust the price when it's not too late to adjust it. Because in stationary mode, when there is really no change in speed, there is no reason to correct the price of oracles. But if speed obviously grows, and we have a function that allows us to correct the price of the deal on the basis of the speed, then we can change the price. And when we change the price, not oracles, but we are changing the price by applying this correction coefficient, then we influence the volatility. Because if our price is different from the price from the previous price, then it's introduced the volatility. And when we increase the volatility, it means that our curve is deconcentrated. It so the concentration becomes more flat, and it means that we remove the exposure of liquidity providers from this type of attack. And the same is when oracles are manipulated. So when oracles are manipulated, then our default formula just prescribes to concentrate on not relevant position. But if we do this, then immediately users start to exploit it. Yes, in this case, some arbitrage starts to happen. But exactly because of the difference between our price and Oracle price, our volatility is being updated to make it higher. And the higher volatility means less concentration, and less concentration means less exposure. So this model how to protect liquidity providers in case of and how to mitigate the problem of the reliance on oracles is very important part of the HyperC model. So we are using oracles. We are mitigating problems. So when they are exploited, so we believe that they will not be exploited, but if they will, we have at least some measures and some mathematically sound measures how to protect liquidity providers in that case. So it means that if oracles are compromised, we just experience less efficiency in the trading, but not the exposure for wrong prices, or the exposure will be only for the small part, of the liquidity that will be arbitraged until the speed of draining will be measured to that extent that this will stop. It will be stopped by our correction coefficient. Another important thing for how we protect the liquidity is so-called constant arbitrage momentum. It's very important. It's very important notion. It's a very important notion that because when we have a curve, and we are, for example, somewhere here on a curve, then there could be such a situation when somebody moved us to some other position. So it means that our fair market price was here, but somebody moved us along the curve to the position when we are here, and it means that slope here and slope here, they are different. So it means that the prices here are different. And now the question, we are here, and oracles started to report another fair price. And now the next trade is being processed by the HyperC. And this is a question. So when we are here, for example, this thing is called the arbitrage momentum. This is the how many money can be how much the arbitrageur can extract from the exchange if it will return it into equilibrium position. And this is not our problem, because this thing was, so for example, this movement was introduced by one player, and if another player will go back, will put the system back. It's just it is just a play between two. Users, and we are getting trading fees from both of them, and we just happy. But what will happen if somebody moved us into different direction, and other user is not moving us back, and now Oracle started to show another price, and maybe this price, is slightly different than this one. So these two things are different. If we would update the price at the place where we are, it is a very dangerous situation, because it means that if nobody arbitraged us back, then there is something suspicious happens. Probably somebody knows something that it is beneficial for him to move to that direction. And maybe others are thinking the same. And that is why they are not changing. They are not arbitrating us back. If this situation happens, it means that we never should update the price to the same as what is recommended by oracles. By what is recommended by oracles at the place where we are now. Because if we will update current situation to the price that is recommended by oracles, it means that we can open the gate for those who stopped by the slippage. And it will expose liquidity for such moments when somebody knows what is happening on market. So it calls informed trading. And what we do, actually, we are changing. We're changing the trading curve, but we are changing the trading curve in such way. So trading curve should go through our point. But it should, in a new equilibrium point, it should have the same arbitrage momentum as before. So it means that only users. So if some arbitrage opportunity was introduced by one user, this arbitrage opportunity can be removed only by another user. We do not interfere with arbitrage opportunities of users, and it allows us smoothly integrate both moving of users. So what our users are creating by their trades on the trading curve, and oracles that are changing the price. And the same happens with liquidity provisioning. So when liquidity providers are providing their liquidity, they cannot affect the arbitrage opportunity. That is contrast with Uniswap-like systems, because Uniswap-like systems, they're saying that you need to provide your liquidity in the same ratio that is already present in the pool. But if current ratio makes the incorrect price, it means that the providing liquidity will increase the arbitrage opportunity, and a liquidity provider can immediately experience the impermanent loss by the arbitrager. And this thing is removed by our concept that we maintain arbitrage opportunity constant between all operations except user trades. The only user trade can change can change the arbitrage opportunity, and we have a sophisticated model how to do it. We solved an equation. The equation okay, so just to say, okay, thank you for thank you for warm words in the chat. I wanted to show this model. It's just this is exactly a lot of calculations. It was a true drama how it was solved. So at one time we will cover it in the blog, and it was completely by accident we found the solution, almost given up on solving this efficiently to fall back to the dichotomy method that works pretty well, but is not as cheap as this solution. But this is exactly what I've talked about. This is the position where we are. This is the position where there is a position where we are moved, and there is an arbitrage opportunity. And we created a model how to explore the arbitrage opportunity. What is happening when somebody moves us, or somebody, for example, this is what is happening when users are moving us from the equilibrium, and you see that the arbitrage opportunity is being increased. But when we are changing the curve, so this is this thing allowed us to calculate exactly a new point. This green point that defines a curve along which we need to move to keep this orange to keep this orange arrow the constant. Actually, probably better to cover this model in separate section, but it is devoted to one very important case that allow us to implement changing the price by oracles and changing price by users to interfere nicely like waves. So you know that when waves are interfering with each other, they do not destroy each other. So for example, when there are two stones that are thrown into water, and you have two different ripples that are going. Then one ripple goes through other without changing, and this is how our mechanism, how to change the price by oracles, and how to change the price, by user trading. They nicely interfere and do not destroy each other. So okay, need to find. So probably we are kind of near the end of the time, and 4 minutes over, I would say. And we didn't mention. So just to summarize, think about the HyperC. So we are implementing the mechanism that allows you purely passively throw the liquidity into the pools, and without active managing, be sure that it will be concentrated at the most profitable region by using external information plus several layers of the protection. What will happen if the external information will be somehow corrupted? So this is the very interesting concept that kind of can be compared with Dodo, because Dodo concentrates liquidity in a similar but not the same way, but their concentration or guided price is provided by the either governance of the pool or external oracle, and if pool is guided by external entity, then you cannot by yourself add the liquidity to there. So only those who know what is happening with oracle can provide liquidity. Can provide the liquidity, and our model is purely open, so everybody can provide liquidity. And by the construction, it uses this liquidity in most efficient way that we can imagine, and in most efficient way, it means not only the capital efficiency, it includes a protection of liquidity providers, because, for example, if there is if there is a big volatility on market, then inability of other protocols to deconcentrate liquidity exposes this liquidity to risk, and we are automatically lowering the risk by lowering the capital efficiency, because lowering the capital efficiency in high volatility setting is more preferable than trying to keep the same in capital efficiency. So this is a nice balance. And just to mention about our token. Our token. This is the complete another story that I will just outline it for the sake of completeness of the so what we talked about. Our token is a governance token. But there is a one important thing that is being governed, because our exchange, so the HyperC, is creating a so-called protocol-owned liquidity. It means that there will be a treasury that will be filled from different sources, including part of the trading fees, and it will be used for the liquidity. So it means that the HyperC gradually will become the liquidity provider for itself. And here will be the question: to whom this treasury, that active treasury, belongs? And the answer: this treasury will belong to our token holders. It doesn't mean that they can withdraw, but they can vote for how to use it. For example, if somebody will propose that let's split it and withdraw, then users can vote for it. It means that our tokens will be backed by this protocol-owned liquidity that if we are expecting that managing this liquidity will allow to earn the yield, and it will grow together with earning for liquidity providers. And it means that our token will have a growing floor that it will be backed, and we will never accept our own token as the part of protocol-owned liquidity, because we don't want the recursion. We already seen what happened with Invictus, with Olympus DAO. It creates a huge volatility, and we prefer not the huge volatility. We prefer steady growth in this case. So I would say that the holders of our tokens will become indirect liquidity providers with the same yield as liquidity providers themselves. So this is kind of important thing. The detailed tokenomics will be published afterwards. But as you see, we have a very nice mechanics how to earn, and our mechanics how to involve users in this earning as well looks very simple yet functional. I would say that for now, it's almost it's not all the things I wanted to cover, but let make another more shorter versions of dedicated topics. Probably we will publish them as well as blog posts, all the stories, how it all the things were achieved. And I will be happy to answer your questions either here or in Telegram. And Let let okay, probably, yeah, probably there is no question for now. Probably there will be some questions in a Telegram chat, and I'm expecting that I will be able to answer to all of them. So let me check. So there was a question. Is it possible for Dex to place limit order, and while this order is not executed, use the asset to earn yield? So this is not the case for the HyperC. This is not the case for the HyperC. Not for any exchange that I know, because more probably most close thing that will be able to implement this thing is the carbon finance, but it's not for generating yield. So if you want to be order to be executed, then it will be just asymmetrical. But it means that it will gradually sold until it is sold. So it's not that. But what we are we are providing only the market orders. We are providing only market orders. So we are immediately swap. So we want to be the swap, the ultimate swap, where with most of the liquidity, or it will function like it have a huge liquidity with a fraction of liquidity of our competitors, I would say. The question, did anyone ask when launch? Actually, we are pretty close to launch, but before actual launch, we want to make a preliminary implementation in Solidity, because you know that we were building on Solana. Now we are translating all the algorithms into Solidity with all the testing, all the calibrating the gas, selecting the proper implementations of mathematical libraries, because they are different between Solana and Solidity. But we want to show you all the interface, all the experience, how to launch, how to trade. So in the early Q1, we are of the next year. So it's we were almost in the next year. So I believe that in the end of January, we will publish a trading game competition. So you will try to trade. You will try to trade on the model of our exchange. We just will take the liquidity as in our competitors, but arrange this liquidity along our own curves, and so you can feel what will be the difference between trading on our exchange and our competitors. So there will be a daily goals, and it will be a nice stress testing for the model itself, and I would say that the launch of the Ethereum, launch of the EVM compatible version will be in Q1, towards the end of the Q1. We want to have all the Solidity implementation ready and running, and already organize a liquidity boost event. So this is kind of about the launch. So I would like to say that the launch will be somewhere in February, but more realistically, it will be in the March. And probably about the nobody asked but I want to explain the situation with airdrop, because we before Solana we almost launched a page to collect Solana addresses, to collect Solana addresses to which put all the airdrops, but we postponed it. We postponed it, and now because of we are because we are now on the Arbitrum. And the Arbitrum is EVM compatible thing, then I believe that we just will fix the that page to not to collect any addresses, but because in case of Arbitrum, we we just can send tokens to the same addresses within the same MetaMask. You just change the network, and if you apply into the system. So I want to warn you that the airdrop eligibility for the airdrop will be only for those who will register, not only passively staking without any expressing your willingness into participation. So you will need to actively press the button, connect wallet, and I want to participate in airdrop. So it will be just a statistics for us how many of you want to do it. Okay. Oh, yes, of course. I didn't mention the important part. Sorry. So what is the what is the nature of our collaboration? Collaboration with Parsik. So when we are measured, when we so just let me show some pictures. So this sorry. So this is the example of one of many diagrams that we got from Parsik. Because when we were calibrating our models, we need just to understand how profitable, how users are behaving in different situations, how to compare, how to calibrate the most important parameters of the HyperC, like period on which we should calculate volatility, how should we calculate volatility, what users are doing when there are arbitrage opportunities, and so on. This is just one example. This is just one example. When we compared user behavior in Uniswap version 2. It's just in Uniswap version 3. It is completely another thing. And Binance price, not the Binance price, Binance price dynamics. So from one part, we had Binance itself nicely packs its data, so it is easy to download all the data and just use it for the modeling of external big exchange that is almost near as Oracle price. So it was from Binance. But for example, for the from the blockchain to get information about what arbitration opportunity existed at that moment when the trade was executed is possible only when you know the internal state of the exchange at this moment. Not the price at that moment, but the internal state. And Parsik provided us all the exhaustive information about, and now we are building a lot of such diagrams when we compare internal states of other exchanges, how users are behaving on them. So, for example, what we now what is on this diagram is just very interesting model of the so we called it arbitrage wind. So on the horizontal axis is the amount of USDT in a trade, and the vertical axis is the existing arbitrage opportunity of the existing arbitrage opportunity of that moment when when the trade was executed, and each point here is one individual trade, and ability to build such things is purely based on Parsik's ability to provide internals of the smart contracts on given time slice, and is very valuable information for us to calibrate, to keep our models up to date, and create updates for them from time to time, because it is very important to just to follow the patterns of user behavior are the same as in previous, because this thing includes even such crash events and changes of the price, like when Luna has crashed, and it is very important information that is being built on top of Parsik's ability to analyze. Okay, so and even we are planning together with Parsik to create such data lakes for other users to be able to analyze all the input data of different exchanges, to be able to make a what if analysis. So, because knowing the price is absolutely nothing for what if analysis. And if you want to rewind the time to the past and understand what would happen if I will try to sell or buy this amount, on centralized exchanges or on central limit order book exchanges, it is based on the history of order book, but we are not order book based, and we are comparing not order book based exchanges, and it means that we need to keep only limited amount of parameters, and Parsik's ability to extract them and create a data lake for it is very important. Okay, so this was a explanation of our partnership with Parsik, and I would say that there were very interesting pictures that I just can show. There are very interesting patterns of usage, and I can explain them afterwards. And just want to say that when you properly visualize the data, you can extract a lot of insights from that, and without Parsik, it would not be possible. Okay. So we are half of an hour over the time. So I believe that other questions I will gladly answer in Telegram chat. So I think that thank you very much for the attention, and let's meet on another topic next time. So bye bye.